Welcome to New York's number 2 sports show. The Rangers lose to the Philadelphia Flyers 4-1 in their third to last game of the season. So the Rangers are on a 2-game losing streak. Not a great game from the Rangers in this one. And the Rangers, they typically do trail. They have had a penchant for coming back in games. It wasn't really the case in this one. And again, it's not a formula for success. The Flyers came in with an 8-game losing streak and were a more desperate and hungrier team. That's just what it was. The Flyers needed this game. I wouldn't say the Flyers' chances of making the playoffs are particularly great, but far from impossible. They are 1 point out of the playoffs. They have a couple of teams to jump, and they've played one more game in their competition, but I think their last 2 games are home against the Devils and the Capitals, so crazier things have happened. The Rangers were attempting to go for the season series 4-game sweep, but not to be. Jonathan Quick was in that for the Rangers, but and they went with the same lineup as the previous game. I wouldn't be surprised to see a lineup change or two for the Islander game coming up on Saturday. But I'm not going to make a huge deal about this loss. I know a lot of fans are concerned and disappointed, and I get that, and I share some of that, frustration. But at the same time, you just can't let it escalate and turn into a situation where you're kind of limping into the playoffs. That can be avoided still. You have 2 games left against the Islanders, who are in good shape to make the playoffs, but it's not a guarantee. They have 3 games left, and they're in the driver's seat. But let's say the Rangers did beat them, then all of a sudden, you see what happens as far as they're concerned. But yeah, the Rangers still do control their destiny for everything. The Dallas Stars lost tonight. So as far as the President's Trophy goes, if the Rangers get 4 points, if they were to win their last 2 games, they will be in first place in the NHL. So not only the division, not only the conference, but the whole league. And even if they get 3 points, let's just say they get 3 or 4 points, then that would mean that they would be ahead of Boston, technically speaking, ahead of Dallas. And the only question would be Carolina. And that's if you get 3 points. If you get 4, you clear Carolina no matter what. The Hurricanes tomorrow night play at St. Louis. That is Carolina's toughest game remaining. Now, Carolina's last 2 games are all on the road. But St. Louis, their chances aren't all that good, but they are still alive in the Western Conference. They're 3 points behind Vegas. St. Louis has 3 games left. So the Blues, they'll want that game versus Carolina. And it's to a point now where, the Rangers are making things very interesting all across the board, but they have not relinquished controlling their own destiny. And that Islander Ranger game is going to be very, very interesting. I do think that the Rangers will come out strong. I'm not saying they're going to win the game, but I think that they will be very much dialed into that one. And we'll see what the lineup brings. I wouldn't be surprised for a number of different reasons. I wouldn't be surprised if Rempe is in there. I would like to see, just in general, Zach Jones in the lineup, but I don't know if that's going to happen. And I don't even like the idea. I prefer 12 forward, 6 defensemen, but with the way the Rangers are built, going 11 forward, 7 defensemen isn't the craziest thing to do, just because I feel like in Jones, you have a defenseman that has been playing well. I know that his style of play may not translate to playoff hockey, but he is definitely one of your best creative, offensive-minded defensemen, and that could be something that may be helpful. And I know that if he were to replace a defenseman, it would be Gustafsson. Tonight was a real struggle for really most of the team, but for Keandre Miller and Jacob Trouba, they had a rough go of it. And I still believe that pair should be split up. And if there's one thing to criticize Laviolette on this season, it was the inability to try different things. The only time he did it was when injuries arose. To split up Miller and Trouba and see how that looked. To split up Kreider and Zibanejad. And maybe that could have given you some options you didn't know existed. So, and going into training camp and into the regular season, it sounded as if Laviolette was open to trying some different things. It sounded genuine. And even in preseason, like they were trying different combinations. But then once the regular season began, they stuck with what we're accustomed to: Lindgren, Fox, Miller, Trouba, Kreider with Zibanejad, the tandems and duos that we're used to. And look, the Rangers have the most points in the league. So obviously Laviolette's doing a lot right. But still, I think just to have it in the back of your head. Now, due to injuries, at least not for Kreider, Zibanejad, but defensively, because, Fox went down, Trouba went down, and so you were able to see some things work, such as Miller with Schneider. I thought that pair went a lot better than I would have thought. And due to that, it really makes me eager to see that be your second pair, if you will, however you want to list them. That's not so important. And I know you're not going to scratch Trouba, but then at that point, try Gustafsson with Trouba. Try Lindgren with Trouba, even though I have doubts how that would work, but at least like they are a pair on penalty kill. So I would just try some different things because Miller with Trouba, it's not good. And it's not helping. I would even say that tonight, as much as I didn't think Trouba was good at all, but I'm kind of used to that, K'Andre, rough game for him. Not good. Not good at all. And the only line that generated anything, as we're used to, is the Panarin, Trocheck, Lafreniere line. It's just not, and the Zibanejad Kreider line 5-on-5, there's just no offensive generation. And Jack Roslovic is not going to help them out. He's just not. As much as I want that to work, yeah, I'm just open to trying different things at this point. I don't, and that's what and that's what you get when you don't want to part with key assets. And I understand that, and there's a cap situation involved here, so you're somewhat limited. But that's unfortunately, Jack Roslovic has not been really any good as a Ranger. So blame goes around all the way because it's easy to just blame Roslovic, but no. Zibanejad and Kreider deserve a lot of it, more of it even. But that's a fluid situation. Jonathan Quick was in net tonight, as I said, and he was, it wasn't really, he wasn't the factor here. Like, Igor could have been in and it would have been the same outcome. But, Shesterkin will most certainly be playing against the Islanders. But, yeah, I figured the Rangers wouldn't necessarily play their best, but I thought that with a struggling Flyer team, the Rangers could kind of just find their way. And this is 2 games in a row now where no 5-on-5 goals. So that's also not great. So they scored on a 5-on-3 power play. And there were a couple of situations where the Rangers did get kind of fucked with where they ruled that Gustafsson took the puck out of the zone. It was very close, but they ruled it offside. And a good point was kind of made by the Ranger bench where it's like, hey, if it's close, let it go, because then you can always at least review it. So that line of thinking is sensible, and I get it. But they blow the whistle dead, and they probably should have kept it going. And then there was another time where the Rangers, who was Eric Johnson, leaves the Flyers box, and with him comes some of the equipment from the person who's in the penalty box, like the guy, I don't know, it seemed like, I don't even know, his, like a headset or there was some equipment on the ice that should not have been there. And so they blew the play dead. I've never seen that before. Very bizarre situation where the Rangers really had a legit opportunity and kind of by a freak thing, they call it dead. So there were a couple of things where the Rangers got a little screwed on, but really once the Flyers made it 3-1, towards the end of the second, and then Goodrow takes a penalty trying to kind of stir things up at the end of the second. The Rangers, it wasn't one of those typical things where the Rangers were going to come back. Flyers made it 4-1, and it was lights out. The one good thing that comes out of this game, no injuries. And I keep on saying that is important. And I don't think they're thinking about that while they're on the ice, but these games get a little bit weird at the end of the season where the Rangers aren't really, because they've already clinched a playoff spot, they're not going to be so as invested. And I hate to say that because Rangers have a lot on the line here. It's not to be made as an excuse. I'm disappointed by what happened here, but this is just the Flyers with the aching losing streak, with their playoff lives on the line. It's just it's the natural way of things happening. And that said, it still sucks that the Rangers lost. But anyway, let's go through the game. First period, it was Rangers were fine. I thought, in the first, it wasn't like anything, it wasn't like a bad start. Just not a whole lot of offense coming from the Rangers in this one against a team that's allowed a lot of goals and has had bad goaltending. Sam Ersson was good tonight, but at 8:25, before that. Here's the problem. It is not that it was a bad first period, but that the Flyers score first. The Rangers are not getting that first goal too often. Cam York, his 10th goal of the season from Konechny at 4:21. So what happens here is K'Andre Miller falls down. And it gives Konechny a lot of space to find York, who wires it past Quick. And I'm not really sure what Jacob Trouba was doing there. I watch him a lot of time. It just seems like he's not serving much of a purpose. And Miller can't look. You can't do that. And the Flyers make the Rangers pay. They take a 1-0 lead. Then Scott Laughton is called for holding the stick of Will Cooley at 8:25, but 22 seconds into the Ranger power play, Artemi Panarin is called for interference of Cam York. So what could have been a chance goes away right there. Then at 13:25, it's the classic Trouba giveaway and then penalty. Just things that shouldn't be happening. So Trouba cannot handle the puck, and because he can't, is forced to trip Tyson Forster. And the Rangers do kill that off. Then the Rangers take advantage of Flyer mistakes. 16:22, too many men on the ice on Philly. Then at 17:41, Erik Johnson is called for charging Mika Zibanejad. You don't really see that called too often, but he did leave his feet, so I guess that's the right call. And then towards the end of the 5-on-3 chance, at 18:19 of the first, Panarin scores his 47th goal of the season from Fox and Zibanejad. So for Panarin, with 2 games left, he is 3 goals away from 50. Don't love his chances, but it's within the realms of possibility. Maybe an empty net goal could help. He could maybe get there. And as far as him catching Jaromir Jagr, him only getting 1 point tonight certainly hurts those chances. But again, with him, he's one of those guys that can easily put up a 3-point night or game. And so, never say never with Artemi. But it's 1-1 at the end of one. We go to the second period, 49 seconds in, Couturier slashes Zibanejad, but the Rangers power play does not score. And then at 3:29, it's a goal by Bobby Brink for the Flyers, 11th goal of the season from Poehling. And what happens here is it's a bit of I guess it was a bit of an on-man rush situation. I forget what led to it. Trying to think. Because the Konechny one, I think, is the one where Zibanejad loses it and then they go the other way. But here, it deflects off of K'Andre Miller's stick. And, he's trying to defend, and it goes in off of Miller. So, not great. And then, not too far after that, Miller takes a penalty. He boards Travis Konechny at 6:06. Rangers do kill that off. And then 11:29, a little scary moment where Garnet Hathaway, hopefully not intentionally, he was a little bit kind of reckless with his skate and his leg, and it kind of goes flailing, and it hits Jonathan Quick, and Quick gets upset, and they both get matching minors. Unsportsmanlike conduct on Hathaway and a slashing on Quick leads to 4-on-4. No goals come from that. Rangers had chances on that 4-on-4, and just ultimately it felt like the Rangers were maybe close to tying it up. But the Flyers score a really big goal at the end of the second. At 19:13 in the second, Konechny scores his 32nd goal of the season from Poehling. This was a play, I think it was this one. I could be confusing goals 2 and 3, but I think this was goal 3, whereas Zibanejad has the puck taken away from him. His stick was lifted, and it leads. And the Flyers are good with the odd man. The Flyers, you don't think of them as a team that can create offense, but they actually can. With Tortorella being their coach, and on paper, not a whole lot of talent, but they are sneaky dangerous. And so they go the other way, and a pretty easy goal for Konechny. Left him pretty wide open, and he scores. to make it 3-1. Keandre Miller was on for this goal as well. Miller and Trouba were on for this one. So, yeah, just bad all around. Makes it 3-1 Flyers. We go to the third. And, at the end of the second, Barclay Goodrow, who was upset about the Hathaway situation, ends up taking a penalty that leads to a Flyer power play. Rangers kill it off. So, the Rangers PK that's been a consistently good thing for a while now. So, Flyers go 0-for-4 on their power plays. But at 5:56, the dagger, Noah Cates scores a 6th goal of the season from Couturier and Sanheim. This was a turnover by Adam Fox. And they go the other way. And, Artemi Panarin was not able to get back. I think it was Lindgren who kind of lets Cates take the shot. And he scores past Quick, gives the Flyers a 4-1 lead. And the Rangers were pretty much dead after that. Nothing happened. Pretty easy win for the Flyers at that point. So, yeah, one of the Rangers' probably worst games. But the beginning was kind of similar to what we were used to. It was kind of the ending that was different. Like, it's been bad with the Rangers. First period, they're always having to come back. And, just disappointing in that there was a lot on the line, not as much as what Philly had on the line. And coming off of that Islander game, which, you had a bad first period there. But 2 more games. And everything the Rangers want to accomplish within the regular season is still there for them. And I think that it should be a very inspired Ranger team versus the Islanders. I think that they were upset about the way things played out the other night in that loss to the Islanders. I think they kind of had it circled on their schedule. Not that they were looking ahead from this Philly game. I mean, that'd be ridiculous to do so. But even me as a fan, I was kind of looking forward to that game more so than this Philly game. So if the Rangers can simply win 2 games, regardless of what anyone else does, they will win the President's Trophy and therefore lead to a better path. A little bit so, as far as I see it. And really, the key here is avoiding Tampa. And I think there is some value in having home ice advantage throughout the playoffs. Not a big one. I think it's a little overrated, especially in the NHL. We've seen a lot of road Game 7 wins and just teams really, look at the Ranger Devils series last year. Rangers really struggle. I mean, their struggles at Madison Square Garden really fucked them up. But, yeah, so we'll see how it goes. But expect to see probably a lineup change or 2 for the Islander game. Definitely. And of note, Noah Dobson left very early in the Islander game tonight. So he was, the one who had that really rough hit on Vincent Trocheck, but he might not even play. We'll see. Maybe he does, but wouldn't be surprised if he's not in there Saturday. So that'll be a Saturday afternoon game. Islanders, Rangers, definitely going to be a very interesting one. And whether they win or lose, the way it's looking right now, very good chance that Ottawa game, where for a while I was saying, all right, that might be a game where you kind of sit a few players and it has a different feel to it. At this point, with things being so close, good chance that there's going to be a lot on the line in that Senator game. But we'll see. A lot can happen from now and then. But yeah, Rangers, not a good game. They lose to the Flyers 4-1. They're on a 2-game losing streak, and they still control their destiny. And they will hope to turn things around against the Islanders on Saturday.